the upkeep of the burial grounds, and that includes all public grounds in Fiji. And they are in Corvo, or the New Extension Cemetery, the Levuka Cemetery, Mbalawa Cemetery in Lautoka, Tavakumbu Cemetery, Lambasa Cemetery, although there are other land designated for burials in Lawanga, Singatoka, but that is not active as we speak. Now, as of today, we have raised our concern to the Ministry of Justice with the minister, because we find that the land areas allocated for burial is quickly diminishing because of the high number of persons or deceased brought to us for burial. Average, we can receive 10 to 12 burials a day, and these are mainly the active burial grounds are from the Suva, Tavakumbu, and Nasinu Cemetery. For the Suva Cemetery, the extension, the portion on the hill, that is also quickly diminishing, and from there, the whole area allocated for burial will be exhausted. For Watuanga, we have closed burial unless there is a request for reopening after 14 years, then we allow. But for Nasinu, a small portion that is near to the new cremations at Nasinu is the area where we are working on right now. And the piece of land where government has granted budget allocation for this year, which is around 2.5 million, is where the excavations work will take place. But on our projections, we have estimated that in the next 15 years, the area in Nasinu will be fully exhausted. And we find this dilemma if there is nothing quickly is identified for the solution for this, because it is a public area of concern. And we have had meetings with ITLTB, the Ministry of Land, the Ministry of Tokay Affairs, and the Regional Development, highlighting our concern. If the land runs out, then what happens? This is what we face at this point in time. Other than that, I think the TLTB has indicated that the landowners around the major town areas in Fiji are reluctant to give their land for burial purposes. And you understand that this type of undertaking actually drives the cost of land in prime areas down. And one good example is in Mbalawa, which sits right on a prime residential area, but because of the burial ground, it's not attractive to the public. And we have been advised by TLTB that there is a piece of land available in Namosi, far in Namosi, but it's all under discussions at the moment. And the unique thing about the burial is that the responsibility has always been under the Fiji Correction Service, because we have labor at our disposal. And because we are one of those countries which provides very cheap burial services compared to our neighbors, Australia and New Zealand. And because of that, the responsibility is always on the Fiji Prison Service to provide this. But if we have to shift to Namosi, then we need to provide a prison that is proxy to this allocation if the burial services is to be provided to the public, because Namboro is closed, but not as closed. And for practical reasons, the cost can be high because we need to transfer on daily basis, and we're not sure even if the location is closer to the Queens Highway. So now, that is, by way of background, the dilemma that we find in as far as the cremation services is concerned. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner. Honorable members, I open the floor now for questions with respect to the submission from the Deputy Commissioner and his team. Thank you. Are there any questions for our submittees this morning?
Chair.
Yes, please, Honorable Kwan.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Um, can you explain the actual cost entailed in each burial? So it's the transportation and what other costs are entailed when you're actually conducting a burial on a daily basis?
Yeah. Thank you very much, through the chair. I'm sorry, I don't have figures right now, but I can say that in a day, there are 3 burial grounds. And in each of these burial grounds, 2 officers are assigned to look after 6 inmates in the locations. Transportation for Nasinu is nearby, probably it's not that far to drop, but Tabakumbu is quite far. For Lambasa, it's a walking distance. So roughly, it won't go more than $100 a day for the fuel. But for the cost of the officers, because there are 2, we pay allowances, meal, $15 per day. So that's $30, $60, and times 5, $300 a week to maintain. Plus the security of inmates, we also beef up security by providing a canine dog to oversee the security of when prisoners are working. That's another 15 times 4, $60. So roughly $500 a week for meal allowances and transportation cost for prisoners to be moved back and forth on weekly basis. The cost is not reflected particularly, but we draw from our consolidated the budget for allowances, and that's where the costs are paid in terms of fuel and the meal allowances for our staff.
Chair, through you, $500 a week for barrels would be for how many graves?
That's for the 3 graves. Nasinu.
No, how many graves would you actually put into the ground?
Sorry, sir.
How many graves? How many people would you bury for that $500?
Okay, average 10 to
Is
12.
this 500 a week per place, like 500 for Nasinu?
No, $500 for the 3 main.
Okay. For how many graves?
Oh, it depends. In Lotoka, the bureau is not as high as Nasinu.
But let's take the high end.
Yeah, so 12.
12, 500 for 12.
Yeah.
Can I also ask, when you had the Chair, when you had the opportunity to be able to liaise with the Ministry of Health with this, there's been changes in some of the charges. Was that brought about by you or by the Ministry of Health itself? The charges for disinterment and other things, or did that come from the Ministry of Health itself?
We made our submission. Actually, we suggested that
And what was your submission?
our proposal was because of land scarcity, maybe a demotivating factor would be to increase the fee. But we were not definitive about the costing. And there are other strategies that came up with the Ministry of Department to allow, for example, people who are nearby in areas like Televu. I think it goes as far as Totatau, brings their deceased relatives to come and bury Nasinu. So one of the strategies was to encourage the Ministry of Turkey Affairs, because they are designated villages, that they use their big burial grounds to bury their loved ones. And the other was to increase the fee. Perhaps that can demotivate people from bringing them to the public graves. For the Fiji Correction Service, I think $36 per grave of private is just the cost of the burial to happen. The subsequent cost after that is taken care of by government, which is why we are cleaning the area, and those costs are not taken into account. Thank you.
$36 for private ones and for others?
36 for private. So it's $36 for per plot. $36 per plot, yes.
And then if you reopen then the charge goes up, eh?
And you pay additional cost for reopening. It's that was what also one of the strategy that we considered, but it's a bit too long, you know. It does not address the high number of people or high number of deaths that's happening. That's why the reopening reopening is not a strategy that will be sustainable in the future. But looking at costing, I think that is a demotivating factor, but is disadvantage to member of the public as of today.
I don't understand why you're saying it's demotivating. Can you explain that?
We made the proposal because it was in a discussion phase where we considered how are we going to address the shortage of land areas, and one of those was to increase the fee for burial. It's not been confirmed as yet, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, through you. Deputy Commissioner, what you're telling the committee is that there was no set fee proposed by prisons on the new amended fee structure.
Chair, honorable member, there was no set fee proposal for. It was discussed in a meeting I mentioned, comprising of stakeholders.
Thank you, Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner. Now, looking at the scarcity of land, and you're saying in the next 15 years, the 8 miles or 9 miles cemetery would be full also. What is your opinion on encouraging people to use the cremation facility rather than the burial facility? And what do you foresee in the next 15 to 20 years?
Thank you very much, Chair. Through you, honorable member. Yes, we were there when they built the new cremations at Nesino, the new facility. And now we have a second facility in Votuanga. At that point in time, I think majority of the public, because the idea of cremation for Christians, or for example, was not easily accepted. And there was a lot of reluctance from the community because of religious belief. The other community that was using these services was the Hindu community. But then we now realize, based on figures, that Fijians are now starting to want to use the services at the cremations in the Sinwe. Going forward, I think this is a sustainable way of maintaining cremation, because we are running out of land, perhaps with a bit of awareness. Creating awareness, this might enlighten the public that because of a shortage of land, this is an option. Like I said, it's an individual choice, and we cannot promote something that the community will not accept, but it should come from themselves to use the options we have at the moment, cremation or burial. That is my opinion of how I see things changing, because the figure for other ethnicity is not as high as compared to the Hindu community, which uses the Batuanga, and now they are going to Nasinu as well. That is the situation right now. Thank you.
So you mentioned that in 15 years' time, there'll be no more land in Nasino.
Correct.
I understand Watuanga is done, no more there. In Suva, how much longer would it take?
So probably 10 years' time.
10 years' time.
Yes.
So other than that, there's nothing in the Suva area.
Nothing in the civil. Like I mentioned, the opinion that we got from the discussion, the people are reluctant, landowners are reluctant to give their land for burial grounds in the major towns and areas. Eh? I think we're talking 150 years ago when development was not rapid as we see today. And that is why we
50 years ago, 9 miles was in the bush.
and that is why we see. But with the change in dynamics of socio-economic development, things have changed now. And we foresee that this will continue in the future.
Land that you were thinking of.
It was not definite.
Oh, okay.
Well, the guy mentioned that during their because they have factored this in the development plan because they see that there will be a problem if we finish all the lands available for burial. And they were already starting to work on possible areas for burial grounds.
So your key concern right now is having enough place to bury people in the future.
Yes, sir.
That will be your key concern.
That is our key concern right now.
All right.
Just a question from me, Deputy Commissioner. With respect to, I'm not sure if probably you can highlight this to us. Do you have some who commit any offences in the burial places? Like some go do drinking, vandalism?
Chair, thank you very much for raising this issue. Yes, we have seen a lot of problems, especially for Nasinu Cemetery. You know, there's a settlement on the Wanimbuku stretch, and it's very far for them to follow the road. So what they do, they go through this cemetery up to the end where we are developing right now. And they cause a lot of, I'm not saying that they are the ones, but because it's an open place, people go there for drinking, and they vandalize the toilet facilities. Some of them break the barbed wire, you know, for access. And also they've damaged some of the cemeteries, and they remove some of the massive artifacts that family member put on the. Sometimes ago, you recall, Chair, that there was also these flowers were taken away from the graveyard, and those are the issues that we come up. We try to fence the area and to patrol them at night, but because the area is open, people access and they go and use the facilities inside to drink and vandalize.
Okay. If I can just refer you to the screen, Deputy Commissioner, to the Parent Act. The fine. See, this is the act itself. Eh? This is the Burial and Cremation Act of 1911, the original act. It says if someone commits an offense, is only liable for $50. Now, the amendment that is before the committee that we are talking about today, it seeks to raise this from $50 to $1,000. What are your thoughts on that fine? Is that sufficient?
I think it's a good idea to raise because there would be a deterrence to the members of public. $50 is very small.
Yeah.
So raising it to $1,000 is a practical solution to the issue of vandalism.
We had a judge came and made a submission here, a Deputy Commissioner, and he was thinking on the lines that rather than doing fines, why don't we get them to come and do community work, community service, because no one will pay that $1,000. That's what he was saying. Eh? That he was saying no one has $1,000 to pay that. He was just hinting to us if you want to be more realistic, no one can pay that. Even though if you catch someone there drinking or committing offense, he was thinking along the lines, instead of doing the $1,000, for them to come and do community work on what they have damaged. Any thoughts on that? What would you think? Would that be good, or is it good to go with a fine, $1,000? We are mixing this up. We're trying to go the best way possible. The good thing is the fine has been increased since 1911. Now they're coming up with $1,000. If you think it's still too small, you can make submission for us to increase it. But then the real word there would be realistic. Yeah? So that was their submission, because if someone vandalizes and you find them 1,000, they won't be able to. Yeah.
And you're already congested.
Very much, sir. We are overstrength every day. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for raising this issue. I think the law is already there. There is a Community Work Act 1996, and it provides for alternative options for sentencing. It's good that it's coming from, because it's the judges who make these sentences. And as a practical solution, I agree. Yeah, that they should, if they are not able to pay $1,000, because most of the offenders are like they are unemployed. They're in there with their drinking parties with others, and they get caught in the system because they are there when we reported it. If they are not able to pay, then I think the courts can give alternative sentence for them to come and work in the prison. The supervision, it would be good, because we go to the graves every day. So the officers who are there, they can see them. And they are not consistent with attendance, then they can bring them back. Because, of course, they will go back to prison if they are not consistent, if they run away to places. But I think it's a good practical solution if they are not able to
Jackson,
pay.
if you can just throw up the amendment. So this is what the amendment looks like. I'm sure you're well aware of this. See, number 6, Section 8 of the Principal Act is amended by deleting 50 and substituting that with both 1,000. That's what we are discussing now, Deputy Commissioner. So probably, if you would agree with us, to add on here at the discretion of the judge to use the Community Work Service Act, something like that. Because it's more practical in terms of who will be doing the oversight, probably the Fiji Correction Service.
The act is under the Ministry of Women, Social Welfare and Children, the Community Work Act.
Okay.
Because that's why you have the probation officers who are looking after people who do community work. But I think if
I think that one says for the child justice.
Yeah.
Is it?
No,
Yeah,
that one is another old act as well.
and that we can strengthen coordination,
Yeah.
have an understanding on the supervision part. Because, as you know, sirs, the parole board is going to be established. So as part of the supervision, the Fiji Corrections will be responsible for as we start, and as we evolve over time, that supervision can be extended to these kind of people who are put to community work. I think it's a coordinated effort between the different agencies will make this work.
Thank you.
Honorable Kwai.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Commissioner, in light of what you just said, to make it easy and to help you, because custody, care, and control of those particular burial sites is yours. So it makes your job easier if they make your job harder when they destroy the actual surroundings in the thing. So my point is, to make it easy, Section 5 says substituting by $1,000. Do you think, or would you agree that the provision that goes in there regarding community service is specific to prison burial grounds? So if anybody breaches that act, right, then the judge will have no choice but to specifically say, right, you are now going to be doing community service by digging 50 graves. Being very simple about it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Or making sure the graveyard is clean with a bright orange uniform on. Does is that like an easier thing for you is it palatable to you, or because I believe that by leaving it open to community service, we are leaving it open to, as you say, it will go to the another ministry, but you could put a particular provision in there with some specificity, basically saying that the community service is this, and it has to be to do with the graves.
Yes, sir. I think if they are prisoners, then they are from our community and they do community work. Like, I think you're coming along that line. But these prisoners, they will be out in the community. They'll be out and they report into the every day. Yeah?
Sorry, if I could just interrupt you. My point is that if somebody gets convicted, right? Previously the fine was low, so the fine they're saying like $50 going up to $1,000. But what we want to do is to add in there a specific provision that says not just $1,000. That if he's too old or whatever, he was just partying with a bunch of young people, okay, maybe he can't go and cut the grass. That's fair enough. But he or she, I should say. But the punishment should be specific to say that that particular person has been given a community service order, and that community service order will be under the correction service, under supervision of the correction service, and they can come and go every day, but you are in charge of them. So if you're going to cut grass for the whole day and think, that's his community service of 8-hour work day. That kind of specific.
Yes, agree with you, sir. That is workable if it is under our responsibility for supervision, yes.
Because the current act, the work community, is not under your responsibility, yeah?
No, it's not under
So you can't do much there.
So you can't do much, yes. Because you might know that in the past you used to have extramural punishment where we put them in the police station to the doctors, especially in the isolated areas. So they provide the supervision for the community release. But the community release is there are two ways to community release. One is directly from the court to the community, and one is from us, like the extramural punishment. We have, now we call it short-term release. So they go out and they stay in the community in their conditions. Mostly in the rural, outer rural areas, we put them under the supervision of the Taltala or the Turani Koro to do some work in the community, and also for them to provide counseling so they stay in the right to behave, right? And for people who are in town, we release them to go into to the employees who come and release it. But the other, they call it the front-end diversion. It's directly from the court to the community. Here it's a bit shady because the supervision can become a problem because we are not involved in that. That is under the community work with the Ministry of...
Through you, there are also burial grounds that are not under your control.
Yes, sir.
Where people might, vandalize.
Yes.
But do you think it's feasible that also I think the ideal way to get community work, I mean, if you stole cassava, your job should go and replant the cassava where you stole. Where you did it, go and do the work there. So if people vandalize private burial grounds, do you think it's still possible for corrections to supervise them?
Under the Act,
when they do community work on that burial ground?
I think we need to fine-tune the Act, the law. Because for now, it's not...
And we are the lawmakers sitting here.
Oh, yes, sir. You can consider that as a practical area to solve your the problem that you are highlighting. I think that's going to work also.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
If I may, Chair, it kind of makes sense, regardless of whether they vandalize a private cemetery or a public cemetery. At the end of the day, once you committed an offense, and I think the Act needs to also change about private cemeteries also. Anywhere you vandalize a cemetery, this is the punishment that's available to you, and then it should go straight to you. So, wherever you've committed the crime, you go and do the punishment at the same place under your supervision. You can say, right, if it's relative to a prison thing, then he or she joins the prisoners to go and make sure that he cleans up the entire whatever it is that needs to be done. That's the thing. I kind of agree with you in terms of the law. It just needs to change. But this is where, like, your suggestions are very helpful to us, that you would accommodate more people if they're doing community service. But of course, there's a cost attached to it because you still have to feed them, etc., all that kind of stuff. Right?
It's a win-win situation, Chair, through you, highlighted by Honorable Sumati, because prisons is already overcrowded, about 300% more than the capacity is. So, yes, so more than, if you have to do something, the solution of community work will help us in managing the number of prisoners that we have. Eh? I think that's more practical. You see them out in the community. They are not stigmatized because they haven't been recorded in our registry. And for them, it will be easy to assimilate back to community because they are serving in the community. I think there will be a bit of supervision strengthening on that part because community and the prisoners are not supposed to be mixing. But we can allocate work where they should be, and they shouldn't be with those who are prisoners looked after by our staff. Yes.
Because I think the idea of restorative justice, I mean, they were there, they did something wrong, just restore them, but don't get them involved with the prisoners. They might end up in a lot of other bad stuff.
Yes.
I think that idea is really good.
Deputy Commissioner, let me just understand one thing. So your classification of somebody who's been convicted of vandalizing and been sentenced to a community service order, he's a different sort of prisoner to the prisoner that's actually incarcerated within your prisons.
Correct, sir. They are different because they haven't been to our system. We have not recorded his particulars in us. She's outside. Eh? Like I said, the Community Work Act is the Ministry of Social Welfare, and I'm not sure how they operate. But we know that there are some probationers which they look after. And for us, like I said, you have to go in there, you get registered, and there are options for release. And then they have to sign the paperwork. And we have an understanding with the supervisors. And we also have a follow-up with we call them the institutional rehabilitation officers, who comes out time and time again to come and check on whether they are working or they have been missing, because they specify the address that they should be to complete their sentence and they can move to other area. That's why we have a follow-up mechanism in place. And I think those mechanics can be extended to the Community Act if it is amended for us to look after the community work.
The current standards is probably aligned with traffic offense kind of thing. Eh? They're not registered with the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions? Honorable
Thank
members?
you. Through you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Deputy Commissioner, I would like to, on behalf of the committee, to express our heartfelt gratitude to the correction officers and the inmates for the job that has been carried out in our public cemeteries around Fiji. Now, my first question is in particular to the misuse of the gravel, the burial lots, particularly on these illicit drugs activities, where those lots are being used to combat contraband items. What is the corrections authorities have been doing in trying to solve this issue? Secondly, Deputy Commissioner, I think this is an ongoing problem too in our villages, even though it's not covered under the Burial Act, the shortage of space. But I've noted that the corrections, whilst using during burial, they have limited the number of mats being used. Probably, I believe it's something that our villagers too needs to know. Probably, some of them might not understand due to our affection and love to the person who passed away. So, can you elaborate on that? Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you. So the drugs issue is, you mean coming to prison?
Being misused by using those. Have you come through those hide contrabands when prisoners come?
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you, sir, Chair. Through you, sir, Honorable Nyundam, thank you very much. Yes, we've had cases where public come and hide drugs in the cemeteries under the guise of coming to clean their loved one's grave. And we constantly check, monitor. People are there on the ground because we can tell by who is coming genuinely to really do a cleanup and who is coming for some other reasons. Also, we carry out spot checks during the night. Our officers, they come and check graves just to make sure that nothing illegal is put in there. In the morning too, we bring in a dog and they make a quick sweep around the burial grounds. Yes, every day, sir, every day. Just to have a quick sweep around, and also in the afternoon when they finish off from the burial. That's how we are keeping the area out, trying to keep the area out from illegal activities by members of the public. And sorry, sir, the next question.
The second question, Commissioner, is just in regards to, I've noticed like during burial in our public cemeteries, you have limited the number of mats being used,
Yes.
especially by our Itoke burial. So can you just elaborate on that?
Yes, sir. So, Chair, through you, as you, in the past, especially our Fijian Tauke community, they bring a lot of mats to and sometimes it's problematic for our boys to cut the space a bit bigger to allow the thick mat around that, wrapped around the casket. Now we have not allowed that. We've stopped the practice of, I think it's beneficial because when we are putting this, these mats have value. So it's better that they keep them and use it for other purpose. Although people are emotional when someone passed away because they are loved ones, but on the other side, we believe that, by not allowing this is going to benefit the community, benefit those. It's very expensive to organize a burial for someone who passed away in the family. So I think keeping that practice in place will cut out some of the expenses. Otherwise, but for it to be extended to outside of the public graves, I think that is the choice of the individuals in the community. In the Fiji, in the Act, it defines the size of the land that we should dig. In the village, it's not specified. It's up to them how big they want to dig the graves. And I think it's for the community to also see what is happening with us, because based on what we've seen and from discussions with the community, they are happy. Majority of the people are happy that we have cut out the practice of bringing in mats to wrap the casket when there is a burial for their family.
Deputy Commissioner, just something to do with the administration. In terms of record keeping, for those burial grounds that are in your custody and control, all the records are kept by you as to what is where and who, and has it already been digitized, or you still, like if somebody has forgotten where their great-grandfather was buried or trying to find it, are you able to trace that back through your records?
Yes, I'm not saying that all the records are perfect. Sometimes you have to go back and dig deeper to find records, because, yes, sir, the records in the cemeteries are kept manual, and it goes back to probably 1800s, late 1800s, yeah. And but majority of the records were burnt during the 1979-80 riot in Corfu. So whatever records we were able to save, we are using that plus what we have at the moment. And most of the records, as we speak, yes, we can trace back to your families, to the families of those who want our record. And the idea about digitization, and I'm glad, sir, you raised this, because this issue has been there for a very long time. I think from 1980s, when people were trying to digitize our records. I think it came close to around 1996 for it to be digitized. We had some volunteers from JICA in Japan to come and put the records for them with the idea of digitization. But over time, the talks die out. And we are still in that situation as we speak right now. But going forward, I think it would be a good idea to digitize the records to save from natural or from people who are managing the records in the office at Corvo.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Honourable members, I'm mindful of the time. We have Fiji Ports at 11:30. Yes, one last question from Honourable Kwa, and that'll be the end of the
Commissioner,
conversation.
just about the records, is it centralized here for the whole of Fiji that you look after, or are the records are kept in each different division?
It's a mix of both. We have a central record here, and there's Nasinu, Lotoka, Lambasa, they have their own records.
Okay.
And they submit their returns to the main office. The main office, it comes to us on monthly basis.
So we do have a backup system.
Yes, yes, sir, yes. Manual.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Honourable members, I must apologize. We have another submittee coming in, Fiji Ports Authority. But please join me in thanking the Deputy Commissioner and the Manager Legal from the Fiji Correction Services here this morning for their submission. And we thank them very much. And we wish them well in their services to Fiji. And thank you very much, sir. You are excused. Honourable members, yes, can we have a quick photo?